Nykaa's numbers are sparkling, or should I say gorgeous, considering the nature of their products. In the latest year gone by, they reported a profit growth of 81%, EBITDA growth of 37%, revenue growth of 24%. And the other gorgeous part of the company is that it's one of those few new age, you can say, e-commerce product, startup company, which did not burn cash. But according to me, the most gorgeous part of Nykaa is its founder, Falguni Nayar. In my show, Latha and the Leaders, I can't think of a more fascinating guest, someone whom I had doggedly followed for, 20 years, trying to chase you for investment banking, breaking news, or M&As, or IPOs. And now here she is before me, fantastic entrepreneur, extremely successful entrepreneur of the most unlikely of companies. I mean, finance versus beauty. Falguni Nayar, first of all, many congratulations for your achievement.
No. Thank you, Latha, for all your kind words. I know we go back such a long time and totally different avatars.
Absolutely. You have moved from finance, but I have not. So my first few questions are going to be very much finance and reporting, and then I'll come to my fangirl moment questions. But first, it's a damn good growth in the latest quarter and in the latest year. Give us an idea, is this kind of pace maintainable?
Yeah, I think so, because I think what has happened is that the reason why I chose beauty was because the consumption was very, very low. The per capita the consumption of beauty in India is abysmally low, if I may say so. And over 12 years of Nykaa's efforts to grow it, we are still at only $15-16 per capita. And I do believe in beauty as a consumption, and I think it happens through education. And Nykaa is doing education and education as well as providing access to democratization and access to all over India for beauty products at such scale that we are able to grow the market. So I think we do believe that this is sustainable because of where we started, and I think it is discretionary consumption. I think time has come for discretionary consumption in India. So all of the wins seem to young population, higher incomes, and also low per capita consumption of beauty augurs well for growth of this industry in India.
Okay. There has been an inflection point actually. I mean, everyone talks about the K-shaped recovery. The upper part of the K, number of air conditioners, a lot luxury homes versus say affordable homes have all grown. Are you noticing that?
Of course, air travel, and every time I listen to things like, okay, biscuit consumption is not growing, I keep saying that, but check it out, maybe consumers are consuming something different, and Indian consumers has always been like that. What they want to spend on, they are very happy to spend, and there are other areas that they tend to ignore. So I think in my opinion, discretionary consumption, being more confident about yourself, and whether it is beauty, whether it is any kind of beauty services that they feel makes them more confident, is going to be the way forward.
Well, actually, I'm glad you said the word services, because my next question is going to be, what are the next growth triggers in terms of large verticals? You went from beauty to fashion. You have Nykaa Man, you have House of Nykaa, your in-house products. What would be the next big thing you will attempt?
I have always said that wellness is what I consider as is a long-term nature of beauty is through wellness, and both are kind of they fold into each other, in the sense that wellness leads to beauty and beauty leads to wellness.
Yes.
So I think in that sense, Nykaa has always been interested in wellness as a category. I think for all of this, because within beauty also there is skin care, there's hair care, there's fragrances. So there are L3s that continue to grow very rapidly. I think we worked on sun protection as a big area, and I think last year we saw sun protection on our site grew like triple digit year on year. So in that sense, there's always new areas of growth within beauty, and wellness is something we already have on the website, but more holistic consumer offering that balances their wellness needs in a holistic manner is something that Nykaa would definitely consider.
Okay, and that is a crying need, I guess, highly demand driven. You won't think of services. Because you said services, I'm
Yeah.
saying.
No, I think the reality is it's a big question on a lot of beauty companies' mind that how integral are services. But you know,
No,
product
Lakme once
businesses are
started it.
yes, but product businesses are far more scalable than really service businesses. And to that extent, you know, not just us but global beauty companies are also looking at services closely enough, but at the same time, you know, the format under which they may be ready to do. But I think consumer needs are definitely more intertwined between beauty products and services for sure.
Okay. At least someone like me who is not very confident of my own beauty product choices, a services or at least a manual or something to help use to be updated.
Yeah,
Clearly
so
helps.
that clearly Nykaa and all beauty companies do. So I think it's if you look at our stores, we have rolled out offering beauty services to customers at scale now.
Okay.
So we already have close to 250 stores.
Yes.
And in most of our stores now we offer where customer can go in and do a quick beauty tutorial or get the beauty, they get a makeup done. And in fact, the service in fact becomes free if they were to purchase products at the store.
Oh, okay.
So that has been rolled out in a very large scale. I think last year Nykaa must have done close to 500,000 makeovers in all our stores.
Okay.
Put together.
And what will be the bigger area of growth? I mean, it is phygital, everyone is. But will you be concentrating more on stores or
No,
e-commerce?
I think if you look at it, even at 250 stores, and we are in top 80 cities in the country, and we are clearly headed to 100 cities and maybe 550 stores. But even at current scale, physical retail is only 10% of our revenue, whereas 90% is e-commerce. Because what we have to remember is
your
that
physical
online
is also young.
No, not because it's young. I think what we have to remember is that online we have 2,500 brands, what they call as endless aisle. Whereas in our physical store, firstly there is a limitation of 80 to 100 brands that we take. So there are certain brands where physical can be as much as 40%, 50% of their sales. Okay. But for overall as e-commerce, because India is also a very geographically diverse country,
yes,
e-commerce has a much bigger footprint.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we've also gotten more used to it as consumers. Your beauty business is actually a cyberspace dukaan. I mean, you buy the products and you sell it. Only thing is it's more on e-commerce. Whereas in fashion, you're actually like Amazon, you're a platform.
Yeah, we're a platform.
Why did you choose the two different formats?
Regulatory. I think Nykaa, I mean, coming from where I came from at Kotak, I think following the rules was very important.
Of course.
And I think in beauty, we were of the opinion that it needs to be inventory-led business. And if you wanted to do inventory-led, then you couldn't take foreign money. We actually took domestic high net worth capital in our early stages till we became Indian owned and managed company and went in for listing. So I think in many ways we actually did the business in such a manner that we could be a physical retailer. We didn't have the compulsion of being a marketplace. But in fashion, where the number of brands is like 4 times the beauty, yes, the number of SKUs that we offer is so much larger, and as a result you can't be inventory led. So that's where we've chosen to do fashion as a marketplace.
Okay.
But a very good, you notice the big difference. And what you need is totally different tech stack for both. And Nykaa's built very different tech stack. Like, our technology supports totally different ways of doing purchases, and even our brand partners getting involved is very different. So while beauty and fashion are both bought by similar customers, and that was our appeal, but the way of doing the business was totally different.
Okay. You also have, of course, House of Nykaa, a lot of your in-house products. How do they do vis-a-vis the brands?
No, so again, I always say that we are a retailer first, and I think our retail business is very, very large. I think I've been someone who always I loved brands, and as an investor, I appreciated and valued brands for what they have, and brands live in the minds of the consumer. So I think when Nykaa became a retailer, and it's quite commonplace for retailers to sell some amount of what they call as private labels or white labels, but we didn't want to do that. We didn't want to just copy, and we didn't want to say, okay, this sells a lot on the site, let's just sell this. Instead, we wanted to, using our knowledge of the industry, we wanted to build brands. So what House of Nykaa stands for is a bunch of brands that we build, many of them in-house, and some of them we've acquired. And it's been a great journey. I think today it's a very meaningful part of our business. I think we've just first time announced that our GMV of all our own brands is for beauty alone is at around 1500 crore GMV. So it's a large business, and we are enjoying building brands, and each brand has to come with its own point of view, customer appeal, and I think a lot of brand success comes from innovation, marketing, and this kind of customer connect and communication that you have. But yes, distribution and knowing distribution and being able to seamlessly handle it is a big asset that our house of brands has, that Nykaa just will do the distribution for
No
those
retailer finds it difficult to accept someone who has an own brand.
No,
it's not been a problem for you.
It's not a problem. I think the reality is that it's the ways of doing business. Like Sephora has their Sephora collection,
Yes.
Ulta has the Ulta collection. If you look at anybody, like whether it is Reliance, whether it is global retailers,
Yeah.
everybody tends to have some amount of their private label in-house brands. The reality is that you also need to satisfy customer needs. So there are times when we first started, the reason why we came up with brands is we saw a real customer need. I think nail colors were not very well serviced in early days, and Nykaa came up with that. Bath and body products were not really very available widely then when we launched it in 2015. Now our brands are bigger, but other brands also come, so that happens. But I think the starting point very often for a retailer is a gap that they identify and they want to service it well.
Okay, now there are two questions. I don't know which one to ask first, but maybe I'll ask you the fashion business first. Beauty business can also be competed. I mean, you can find very big competition, but it is much more so in fashion. Isn't that more challenging? I mean, why did you enter it? You were doing so well in beauty.
No.
This is, there are so many brands. And like you said, it's a platform. So I could have bought, I'll tell you something, I'll ask my niece, I want some plain t-shirts. She'll give me a website. I want some plain shirts. She'll give me a website. I didn't know there were so many, but that's easily disrupted, isn't it?
So I think when Nykaa entered fashion, it was around 5 years ago. And at that point, a lot of fashion platforms had failed. And a lot of fashion platforms had failed. And we saw that there were only two fashion platforms which were there. One was Myntra and the second was Ajio. So we clearly, and at the core of it, consumer for beauty and fashion is the same. It's the same lady who's buying fashion and buying beauty. So to that extent, the goodwill of Nykaa was there. And we thought that if we could, we could build a fashion business, and this is still early days, and we remain confident that we are building a little bit more premium, more on trend kind of a fashion business. And as we go into that journey, I mean, we've had a very good early success, and as we go into it, we remain confident that it'll be a good business. See, I always, coming from where I came from, which is investment banking, I always look at the big picture, and I saw that fashion was 5 times the size of the beauty and personal care market in India. When I found that out, I said I should find out what it is abroad, in the US, because I take a lot of inspiration in retail from the US market. And in the US also, fashion is 5 times the size of the beauty and personal care market. So it's a very large market. There's lots of opportunity. It's not winner takes it all market, because if suppose 5 brands go to Myntra or some competitor of ours, there will be other 5 brands that will be ready to do business with us. And we realized that there were not enough platform, and clearly even today, because it's such a tough business to do, not too many people are entering. So in that sense, I do feel that we are getting a very clear, I think direct to consumer brands will try to sell on their website, but multi-brand retailer, and I really am very impressed with what a multi-brand retailer, I call it the magic of a multi-brand retailer. And a magic of the multi-brand retailer is that customer comes looking for one, but they may buy 2 or 3. And if they don't like the brand that they're coming for also, they may get tempted to buy something else. So the conversion that the multi-brand retailers enjoy are always higher than the single brand stores. So in that sense, I think in the long run, I think a well-run multi-brand retailer can do well. I think fashion's problem globally has been about inventory and styles changing and getting stuck with the inventory. So managing that is important. And today, because we meet globally very successful fashion players, and whenever you meet them, one of the core reasons for their success is that they were inventory light, or they were totally zero inventory and doing business in a manner that was not inventory heavy. So I think that is key to success, and Nykaa is trying to replicate that.
Well, I must say that you're bringing a lot of your investment banking
Yes,
knowledge
definitely. I can't
and
forget
wisdom.
it all.
No, and it's useful.
Yes.
An analyst would have asked you if, if you were an analyst,
Yeah.
you would have asked the entrepreneur, even your beauty business can be disrupted. I mean, when it came, it was brilliant. We could get so many brands I've only seen in airport shops. And suddenly Nykaa gave you all that and more at the ease and comfort of your house. But it is a replicable model. Would that be a problem even in terms of the valuations of your stock? See what happened to Asian Paints. As long as it was the only paint company, 70 times valuation. The moment there is an Opus or someone else, valuations come down. Is that a worry?
It's not that. See, that way any business, anybody can enter any business and get a success out of it, right? But there are certain companies that succeed and there are certain companies that don't succeed. So there's a whole, operation and execution that also comes into play. I think in specialty beauty retailer, there is a certain aspect of ways of selling. And like if you look at US, in spite of being such a big market, there are only 2 specialty beauty retailers, Sephora and Ulta. If you look at a lot of global markets, all of Europe, you won't find more than a couple of big ones. You may find some small retailers, but they don't grow to size and scale. So, I think there are certain benefits that
of
we enjoy,
sheer
more and sheer execution also. And also by now size also, right? Like Nykaa has, it's all public domain, that we have 42 million customers who have ever bought on Nykaa. And those customer base, we try to treasure them and keep them on a long run. Plus, on top of it, we keep acquiring new customers. So I think Indian market is a very promising market. I think global brands, or every global brand, is looking to be in India and appeal to the Indian consumer, because they are convinced that Indian purchasing power will grow. And as India's purchasing power grows, there is going to be a lot of demand for beauty companies. And I think Nykaa is sitting at a very interesting space. I think if you look at it after 13 years, if you look at last quarter, there was such acceleration in the number and quality of brands we launch. We got some of the world's best brands all coming to launch on Nykaa. So if you see, last quarter was more exciting.
So you've already created the network effect.
Yeah, network effect is already, and hence the kind of global brands that all want to come into India and launch is so massive. And the outcomes that Nykaa can give in terms of their size and scale versus other competitors is very different. So there is that first mover advantage, as people call it.
Okay. No, fair enough. Actually, to prepare for the interview, I asked a lot of people, not lot, a dipstick survey. And there are people, no, I buy only on Nykaa. That convenience they've got used to, they've got their number, the shade, the brand. And if I don't want to disturb this, and every month a package comes, these are the things I want. But there was this attraction. Tira gave me loyalty points. So I want to spend that 1,000. So I go there and I end up collecting 1,000 more points. There is this competition biting at your ankle. Will that be a future cause of margins thinning or something?
It should not be. If the business is done well, it should not be. So I think when we first launched Nykaa around 2013, Amazon soon came into India, and first 5 to 6 years, I was only asked one question, that how will you Amazon-proof your business? And nobody thought an e-commerce company can compete against Amazon. I mean, they had the technology, they had the customer offerings which are so strong, and Nykaa was just a startup with no strong technology backbone.
Yeah.
So I think we obviously did well in that environment.
Baptism by fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Where customers chose Nykaa over other competition. And I think, I always say that zero competition, to assume that there will be zero competition, not possible. And I think the level of competition in beauty retailing is low. It's not very high at all. And and even I remember during early days, Amazon realized that Nykaa is not going to spoil the market by doing too much discounting from their own pockets. So if the retailers can keep to that, because beauty brands don't like discounting. And I think in India, a lot of platforms use discounting as a way of acquiring customer. But a customer that comes with discount is not the right customer. So I think to a certain extent, if you can balance it, a lot of beauty companies themselves give discounting.
Yes.
And that we pass it on to our customer. But I think to see discounting as a way to acquire a customer is not a sustainable strategy.
And
I
you
think
don't
as far
see
as
it in the industry now.
No, I think if industry realizes that, it's good for them. I think very often a lot of industries spoil it for themselves by engaging in wrong practices.
No,
And that's very sad.
No,
Usually.
I agree with you. You're kind of, it's a race to the bottom. But there are some competition, like even Amazon itself, which come with big, deep pockets and which can therefore sustain thin margins for a while. And then, they can price correctly.
No, I think deep pockets is different. See, deep pockets means I think a lot of companies have acquired a lot of customers because of what they were ready to spend. So Amazon and all probably sit on 100 million customers, right? So that's a very different story. I'm talking about do you need to keep discounting the product? Because if you discount the product, and there are enough examples of that. So I'm a big believer in building sustainable businesses which are not on so-called high levels of losses that can't be sustained in the long run. Because when the losses, you're not willing to do the losses, then where's the business?
Yes, that's true. But I mean, again, an analyst question. Would you therefore say you will be able to maintain the margins you posted in a very good year in FY25, even improve upon them?
I mean, we do believe that margins are good, and we are not guiding to, huge amount of improvement in the margins, but our margins are a consolidated number which reflects both the core margins as well as the ad revenues that e-commerce companies are generating. And increasingly in brand partners are preferring to do their advertisements on e-commerce platforms because the distance between seeing the ad and buying the product is the shortest on e-commerce platforms. So of course we also have our own plans and strategies to continue to win more of the advertising business.
Okay, fair enough. I guess those are the normal questions a person investing in the share will ask, and I'm sorry that I'm concentrating more on the investor angle. When your share was listed at 2,000 plus, when your asking price, IPO price was only, I think, 1125. I saw you on TV that day on our channel. You said, no, these are times when new age companies are getting overestimated. There is a froth in the market, but things will settle down, which was a very, very candid reply. But exactly 1 year later, November 10th, 2022, you announced the bonus issue. Was that to erase the memory of that 2000 plus?
Not really to erase the memory. I think probably you can say that it was maybe the ratio was a little bit aggressive, but I think the reason why it was done was that in our IPO there were a lot of offer for sale, and because and the tax rules in India are such that because of offer for sale, our existing shareholders were not ready to take more. I mean, we couldn't do stock split more than what we could do. So I think going into the IPO, the feeling was that the per share price was very high. So going into the IPO only, we had planned that we'll do the stock split when it is allowed, which was after 1 year. Going into the IPO, we were of the opinion that the price should be 300 rupees. And we went with a price which was far higher.
Yeah, 112.
And then we were of course wanting to have enough retail shareholders. And the feeling was at those prices, retail shareholders, they don't
will
come
find
in.
it difficult.
So, yeah, they'll find it difficult. So I think with that thing on your mind, I think we always wanted to do bonus.
No, this price now of 200, if you multiply by 6, it would be 1200. So you're not quite at your,
we're
4
higher
years ago.
than the IPO price for sure.
Higher.
But
but considering the growth you have shown.
Yeah, so the point is whatever growth was promised in the IPO has all been delivered.
Absolutely.
Profitability also has been better. So I think there is nothing, and Nykaa till now has done all of the businesses that were there in the pre-IPO phase.
No, actually, if let's phrase my question properly, you actually delivered everything, and like I began the interview reading out fantastic numbers, even in the latest year and the latest quarter. So, would you wonder why should the price not be higher? I mean, 1125 has become like kind of 1200 rupees now.
Yeah.
You would have given this growth, it should have been higher.
Yeah,
So
but
do
I
you
think-
think people are worrying about competition?
No,
Is
not
that
so.
why?
That's what people say, but finally it is also demand and supply. So, at the time of the IPO, the non-promoter shareholding was quite high, and a lot of that has got traded as in when they could sell, because many of them were hugely in the money. So I think there has been that amount of supply also that's come in, which has obviously got.
Fair.
So there is a demand supply aspect of it also, which I think people tend to forget.
Okay, fair enough. Let me come to the way the business is run itself and the fact that your son and your daughter are running two verticals. How did you share the responsibility? Why did Achin ask for fashion, or you thrust it on him, and Advaita wanted beauty?
No. So
how do you
I think
distribute responsibilities?
No, I think it was nothing like that. I think, I don't know if you know the history. Advaita pretty much has been a co-founder who's been with me from the beginning. I think she joined when Nykaa was just 1 year old, and she of course went to do her business school. So she was very experienced in beauty, and she ran physical retail business also, because I did believe that they must learn physical retail business. So I think she ran that. Then when she came back from the business school, at that point we wanted to start the fashion business, and I think clearly that's what she started with. So she was doing the fashion business, and around that time Anchit had decided to come back. At that time I had certain I had thought that Anchit should first, again same thing, learn from physical retail
ropes,
business.
yeah.
So he did that first for 2-3 years. Then as the organizations, they grow, and as organization need changes, he started doing omni-channel beauty. So it's been like now he looks after omni-channel beauty. Advaita looks after our house of brands as well as fashion, because that's what she has built from scratch. And but we have other business leaders also. We have another business leader who looks after our EB2B business. Then we have another business leader who looks after our fashion online business. So there is a mix of both family and non-family business members. And then we are well supported by all our functional heads, So we have the CFO, of course, always, and a number of like CTO, CFO, operations head, many other roles.
No, I must admire you both as a mother and as a CEO to even tell your children that, learn the ropes, do the hard work, and then come in to manage. That is very impressive and very responsible of you to do that. Just another curious question. You said all the economic reasons why you chose beauty, but I was very surprised when you chose beauty. Wanting to be an entrepreneur, yes, but you didn't look like a person. I mean, you were not dressed in jackets and very good cosmetics when we met you, during the IPO days or merger days. I was a little surprised that you chose cosmetics.
The issue
beauty.
is, I think the issue is that what you choose to build the business is based on conviction, and it doesn't have to be your favorite product or anything like that. So I think I saw a business case and a business need for beauty, and that's what I chose. I mean, at that point I did think about institutional broking, but I didn't want to go into a competing area of what I'd always done. So I'm not institutional broking, but retail broking.
Okay.
Most people assume I would do retail broking because that was so ingrained in my kind of blood, for so many years. And that's
what I would have assumed,
business.
that you would
And
do
that's
a money
also good business. But I think it's just, many of these things are predetermined, predestined, and I was probably destined to create beauty industry in the country.
I'd do a beautiful job of it. But you're right. I would have thought you would do Grow or Zerodha or something. I mean, that would have surprised me less. But you're right. This is a beautiful business to be in, and you've done it really well.
I have to say, I really like the beauty industry. It's a fantastic industry. I know most of the, players in the industry, like global companies, and there's, the owners or their CEOs and their senior management teams. And it's a good business. I really love the brand building aspect of the business.
Happy place, I would say, definitely.
Yeah.
What about your muse? Was there someone who inspired or something?
No, I've said this so many times that as part of an IPO banker, I met so many promoters who were trying to explain, founders and promoters who were trying to explain their business model to the investors. And the investors were always saying no. Like, when I remember those days that I think Ajay Bijli used to say that he wants to build multiplexes, and people used to say in India, who will pay for the price of that multiplex, or anybody. Like I remember Ronnie also used to say he wants Disney-like studio in India, and nobody used to believe it, that it'll ever happen in India. See, I think non-belief in India and India's consumption story was a theme that I saw throughout. And through my that 20-year journey, I saw that many of them built those businesses and were so successful. And it started with their determination. Firstly, they saw something into the future and determination to make it happen. So that is what motivated me.
I've heard this answer. I'm just asking if there was any one person, or like you worked with a fantastic founder Uday Kotak.
Yeah, so I think
Sanjay himself is like, built Citibank from scratch in
that's
India.
True. But I think if you say one person, of course, my style is very much like Uday's, because honestly, like having worked under him for so many years, I used to joke about it in early days that if I try to do something wrong, from like giving higher discount or giving free shipping, I think little bird will tell me that Uday Kotak won't like it. So I think even though of course I connect with him periodically, but I think it's not like he's a formal like a coach, but I've learned a lot from him over the years, and a lot of what many of us at Kotak will exhibit is his you become almost like them, you almost sound like a clone.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can say that of some of the people who have fashioned my thinking, and what a fantastic banking business he has built. So I can imagine how much his thoughts would be ingrained in.
But that's banking, this is beauty. So that way very different, but I would definitely say that. Otherwise, I think what I really appreciate is people who build brands, and that also is something I am very keen observer of. And I think what I'm really proud of is brand Nykaa and how we build that. And it was a very conscious attempt to really build a very consumer loved brand, and I put in a lot of effort, both organizational and personal effort towards building the brand. And today I think Nykaa's brand reality is ahead of its commercial reality, honestly. Like I go to the smallest towns in like 2 hours away from Manali, and the little girls know Nykaa. If they are a little bit young and enthusiastic consumers, I'll ask them, do you know Nykaa? And they said, yes, of course we know Nykaa.
Okay.
So I think the brand is what I really value the most.
Okay. Many congratulations for all that. Just a final question. What will you do next? Is there, at the moment, you're too young to retire, but is there any other plan you have for yourself?
No, I don't have any, I mean, Nykaa started because I said I wanted to be an entrepreneur before I turned 50.
Yeah.
And at that point also, I was quite aware that any journey takes about 10, 15, 20 years to see it to fruition. Like I think I always talk about that, I wanted it to...
But you all grew earlier than your wildest dreams, I would think.
Yeah, but still it's 13 years now, so it takes time. And not just, IPO is not the thing. IPO seems just like maybe passing school, but there's a lot left after that. So I think building a sustainable and a strong business is what I endeavor to build. And I think we are $1 billion turnover now, but that's just the beginning. There are much bigger possibilities in a country like India.
Absolutely.
So I think we are all working, and it's the fun part is that both the family and the teams together are so excited about the opportunities that Nykaa has. And all of us are really we all come to work very excited. I think we didn't talk about it, but Nykaa is a very data-led, agile company, is always trying out new stuff. And there's a lot of energy in the teams also. And everyone feels like day zero, and everybody thinks that there's so much more to do. Okay. So I think we are energized by what needs to be done at Nykaa itself. So I think for us, most of us in the family, Nykaa is all consuming, and we really don't have plan B right now. So it's just
I can see the happiness in your voice when you're explaining that.
Nykaa is plan A, and that's what it is.
Oh, very good. That's a great note on which to end this conversation. Many congratulations once again, Falguni, and I do hope Nykaa and you go places.
Thank you.
Let this just be the great beginning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Latha, for a wonderful chat we've had today.